Welcome to the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. Here are your hosts, DJ Marcotte and John Soroyce. Enjoy the show.
Like Home Alone, John?
Yeah, I just saw it like 1,000 times.
Kevin! You what?
I just saw it like 1,000 times.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it 1,000 times in the last month. What are you
Yeah.
talking about?
You sound far away. No, that's better.
That's a little bit of our Christmas spirit for the day today. No Santa hats. We don't have time for that stuff. But I do have a couple of presents on the table here. I am still the reigning and defending Roto champion in our Dynasty League, and I got a new shiny trophy that has shifted across the table officially. Well, not unofficially, I guess, because it's not quite over yet. John has nobody left, and I still have Devontae Adams left. But I am also now the playoff champion in that league. I am Donnie two trophies, and it feels good, John. But there's always a yin to the yang, and you're probably not feeling as good this morning, or this evening, I should say. Well, this is gonna post on Christmas Eve, so this morning, I guess. How you feeling? I mean, you lost to your best butt.
Yeah, look at it this way. Nobody in that league. You know what? I came back for a second time.
You did.
Yeah, I made the
You
championship
did.
twice.
2 years straight.
So to lose it, it's not a bad thing. Not to mention in our league of record, I am the king of consolation. I've
He
won
is
it 2
officially
years in a row.
the king of consolation. You get to keep the toilet bowl trophy. I hope that you have it on your mantle.
Yep.
It is something that you should be proud of. So let's break it down real quick, John. This is fun. We haven't really done this yet this season. Honestly, after Saturday, and John will tell you this, I was convinced that I was done because John traditionally has more luck than I do. It's something I battle with. I had to assemble a monster squad of players in order to compete in the playoffs, just because I'm not a lucky guy. In our keeper league, Julio Jones scored 12 points, and he scored about 500 on average every game since then. He just didn't show up for that game, and other guys didn't either for me. And I had a really good squad. I think you would agree in that league.
You got a Pro Bowl team.
And I am cursed in that league. I've won the Roto championship a number of times, but I've never won the playoff championship in that league after 10 plus years at this point. Dynasty is a different story. I have assembled it's like 1,000 U.S. Army tanks coming at you. It's tough to beat this squad, but John looked like he was going to pull it off. So on Saturday, my can't-miss duo of Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins up against Tampa Bay, John, they missed. And they missed
They
big.
laid you a big goose egg.
It was bad. Deshaun Watson, we'll go into it further. He got me 10.9 points, and DeAndre Hopkins got me 7.3. And while John's roster isn't nearly as star-studded as mine, he is very cerebral. He looks at the matchups, and I would argue that you had better matchups than me this weekend.
Yeah.
And you had Christian McCaffrey. And you had Lamar Jackson. So if we're going to compare quarterbacks, my 10.9 points from Deshaun Watson versus your 37.2 from Lamar Jackson, bit of a advantage John on that one. And then if we compare running backs, it gets a little bit better for me. Christian McCaffrey does what Christian McCaffrey does. He got you 32.3 points, John, against Indianapolis. But my faith in Saquon Barkley all season paid off with 43.9 points, over 270 all-purpose yards from Saquon Barkley as he roasted the Washington Redskins. And, of course, our other running backs, Leonard Fournette, 13.5 for me, not great. And Joe Mixon in about as plus matchup as you'll ever see.
That stomach bug, and I kept debating, do I take him out and play him? And I'm like, you know what? He's trying to go for 1,000 yards here, and he played like...
And he did not do well for you. 9.3 points from Joe Mixon. We mentioned Hopkins. My 7.3 for Hopkins was only matched in checkmated by the disappointment from Tyler Lockett for you with 2.2 points in a great matchup, Arizona.
Yep.
Devontae Parker for me. This is the only time, fun fact, that I have started Devontae Parker this season.
And he went off.
And the reason I did it was because Chris Godwin was out. I would never start Godwin over Parker. His upside
Parker
is
over
high.
Godwin, you mean?
Excuse me, other way around. Parker over Godwin. Godwin was out. I had the perfect replacement. Good matchup. Not great matchup, good matchup. And Devontae Parker held it down with 22.1 points. Mike Williams, John, I thought was a great start with a great matchup. Only 8.1 points.
You know that Oakland against wide receiver 2 is the second worst team against him, and Mike Williams did nothing.
Nothing.
And what did I say last time?
Well, not nothing, but not much.
Well, not much,
8.1.
but what did I say during the game-by-game breakdowns that this game would be closer than it would be because it's Oakland, and they beat them last time, too.
And Phillip Rivers is trash. It's
Yes.
over. It's over. So going to the tight ends, Zach Ertz hurt his ribs, and we'll talk about that in the really quick news that we buzzed through. It really wasn't the same throughout the rest of the game, although he did get back out there. Dallas Goedert dominated. And moving forward, if we're looking to next year, I'm a little concerned about Ertz with Goddard. I mean, they've got something special. And I would argue, well, I might not argue it, but it probably could be argued, John, that Goddard is a better tight end than Zach Ertz. I don't want to say that, but it could be argued. And then, because I have him in every league, George Kittle dropping cold stunners all over the LA Rams with 18.9 points.
Which he had 0 at the half.
He had 0 at the half, got a touchdown, caught 5 of 8 for 79.
Even if I played Higbee and Ronald Jones, which I was debating,
Right.
I still would have lost.
You probably would have, yeah.
It would have been a lot closer, but I
would've.
still would have lost.
So then we have 2 flex in that league. One of mine is another guy I always had faith in. I went and traded for him this year, and I knew eventually, we talked about it last week, I knew eventually he would come through for me and get touchdowns. I said it would happen this week. He was overdue, and Alvin Kamara came through for me with 29 points.
What is it, 13-week drought, and he goes off on me. Thanks, Kamara.
Because I had faith in him.
You're banned.
John started Raheem Mostert over Ronald Jones. He got you 11.3. Golden Tate got you 15.6. He had a slow start there.
Yeah.
And I have Devontae Adams going tonight. Current tally of 145.6 to 122.8. I am the victor. I am not going to gloat too much about it because I feel very fortunate because every single time I go against John in a finals in the playoffs, I don't think I've ever beat you in those circumstances.
But you know what? I would rather lose the way I did. What did I say to you?
Yeah, you wanted to get beat down.
I wanted to get beat down because I would rather lose by 30 or 40 points than have to say, oh, you lost by 1.1 because that's the worst feeling in the world. Because you know to be one player switch. In this case, I even looked at my roster. Even if I had Ronald Jones and I had Higbee in there, I still would have lost. So I gave it my everything pretty much. And I second guessed. Remember I kept saying Ronald Jones?
In my mind, as we were discussing our matchup in the last show, in my mind I said John has so many options. It's too many options. And he's going to overthink it.
But did you see how many people I picked up, though?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Dion Lewis? Oh.
Yeah.
But I didn't play him.
And that's why I collect studs. Because I don't want to overthink it in the playoffs. I've been there before, and I don't want to live that lifestyle. Because it's so easy to make the wrong decision. Even if it's an educated decision, and every decision you made was an educated decision, but it's just so easy to make the wrong one. And I was fortunate that I only had to make one decision, and it was Devontae Parker over Miles Sanders.
Oh,
and I didn't even have to do that.
No, you would have been fine.
Because Sanders had a great game, too. So, with that being said, as you guys know, you loyal listeners know, this is the Working Class Podcast, the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. I am Donnie Two Trophies. I am I'm not even a fantasy football legend anymore, John. You got to consider me an icon at this point. I mean, you really have to. And this is John, who was defeated by me, but it could have easily gone the other way. And John is my fellow blue collar baller, and we are happy to be here.
Hey, you know,
on Christmas Eve,
there
John.
is another good aspect of this, though. The trophies stay in the house. They don't go to someone else's house. They stay in the set.
But I am going to charge you admission if you want to touch the trophy.
Wow.
And you just looked at it, so that costs you $5.
Wait a minute, whoa. Who paid for the trophies? Who paid for the trophies?
Donation.
I donated last year my winnings to buy these trophies. Why? I wanted to try something different than the belts, as you can see.
Yeah, we do have
right
the
here.
belt here. That Roto belt, which I will be handing over to Ernie. So why don't we call him? You want to do the fantasy phone
go ahead.
friend?
You think he'll pick up?
He better not. I mean, he better not. He better not. Yeah, he better not, because he's taking my belt home. Let's see if he's available.
He's gonna look like
Ernie's not a talker. He's kind of a quiet guy. So we'll see how this goes. Fantasy phone a friend in full effect.
I bet she doesn't.
Ernie Dorr. He might be working. He works a lot of jobs.
Yeah, he works oddball jobs.
He coaches. Ernie's a great guy all around. He's probably not going to answer.
Hello?
Is this Ernie?
Yeah, what's up?
Well, John and I just wanted to welcome you to Fantasy Phone a Friend. How are you today?
Oh, God.
Hey, congrats, Ernie.
You knew this was coming, right? And you can't swear. At least try not to. If you can avoid it, it would be for the best.
Hey, congratulations.
Yeah, we wanted to call you to congratulate you. You and I are both double champions because we are that damn good. And we wanted to congratulate you, Ernie. How does it feel today?
Feels awesome.
You have 2 belts now.
2 belts.
Yep. You'll be taking my beautiful white Roto belt that I've held for 3 years. I don't really appreciate that. I just want to let you know that. And next year, I have every intention of taking it back. But what's going through your mind this morning after your big championship win, or this evening?
Well, I'm glad I'm the one to take it from you.
Yeah, everybody wants to beat me. That seems to be how it goes. Where are you going? Are you going to Disney World, or are you just going to take it to the house and put it on the mantle?
I'm probably just going to take it to the house and just do nothing crazy.
Wear it to work?
Probably, yeah, so everyone, like Dave and everybody can see it.
Yeah, that's because Ernie works with a few of the league mates there. Well, I know you're a man of few words, Ernie, and I know you've been dreading this day of Fantasy Phone a Friend, but I would, other than John, there's no one else I'd rather see take this belt from me. You're a great dude. You're great in the community. You're great in the fantasy football world. We love you to death, and we're happy for you. All right, bro?
Yeah, I'm glad I joined the league. This is my second year, and it's probably one of my favorite leagues, and I really enjoy it because we have so many different parties with the end of the year,
Yep.
kickoff, and it's probably the only league I actually can do all those things. So it makes fantasy real fun, and I enjoy it.
That's awesome, bro. And yeah, we have our get together on Pro Bowl Sunday, and you're gonna be the center of attention of that one, homie.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
But just for the record, and John, I want you to witness this. Next year, I'm gonna beat your ass. That's how it's gonna go.
Well, you gotta get past my 3-headed monster.
All right, we'll see how it goes.
I'm probably going to take Joe Burrow.
Yeah, John's gonna take Joe Burrow and win the consolation round again next year.
Have fun with that when he's on the Bengals.
I'm not taking him. I already know who I'm eyeballing.
Cool. All right, bro. We love you. We'll catch up with you.
All right, man. Merry Christmas.
Peace.
Bye.
There you go. Ernie Dorr, the double champion of the League of Record. So as great as it is for me to have the Dynasty trophies, my Twin Towers over here. This is a nice view of the Twin Towers, John. You got to sit in this chair and get a good view there. But Ernie is actually the double champion of the League of Record. So as we've said before, we have a Roto champion and a playoff champion. It's never been done, John. No one player has won both of those prizes in any of our leagues, and it happened twice this year, so that's pretty awesome. And, John, I know you'll be gunning for all of them next year.
Oh, God, yes.
All right, so we're going to buzz through the news. Honestly, if you have Week 17 championships, you probably shouldn't, but for the benefit of those with flash photography and for those that have championships in Week 17, we caught him leaving work, apparently. Then we're going to go through the news for you. Josh Jacobs, there's a chance he plays in Week 17.
They should shut him down.
Yeah, they should. Texans are playing to win. They will start their starters. Any thoughts on that? We're going to go lightning round. We're going to go first thing that comes to John's
question.
mind.
What are they playing for? Just the seating?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. They want to beat some butt. What do you think?
Risky.
Risky? It is risky. Marshawn Lynch, John. There's mutual interest between him and Seattle. First thing that comes to your mind on that.
If they get Marshawn Lynch, they're back in it.
I don't disagree with you.
He just plays at beast mode in Seattle.
He does, and he's got fresh legs, and he's a little older, but yeah, he has one.
As long as it's not first down and they're throwing the ball, they'll be fine.
You know, Yeah, I'm sure Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson got paid a lot of money for that one. Zach Ertz headed for tests on his injured ribs, John. So Dallas Goedert could be a league winner for those of you the Week 17
I think they're still fine. Goddard, like you said, I guess I don't know what's.
I've never seen so many injuries to receiving players though on one team as they have the
Ertz,
the
other than the
Eagles.
first couple of years of his career, has been pretty healthy.
Yeah.
So this kind of concerns me, but I don't think they're going to shut him down until they know if they're definitely making the playoffs. If they don't, then they'll shut him down.
Yeah, definitely.
But that takes next week, I believe, right?
Yeah. Kyler Murray slated for MRI on his hamstring. Did they shut him down? Why not shut him down?
Shut him down. They have nothing to play for.
Exactly. Mark Ingram, strained calf. Good chance he'll be back for the postseason, but not a likely guy to be seeing next week.
No, I think it's
Justice Hill will be an interesting guy to watch.
I think it'll be Gus Bus and Gus Bus.
Yep, Gus
and
Bus.
Justice Hill.
And Justice Hill had a 17-yard touchdown this week. He flashed what I've been talking to you stupid Ravens coaches all season about. Get Justice Hill some action, man. This kid's good.
Ingram could be
good.
Ingram could be gone just based on the fact they don't.
He did well for them this year.
No, he did, but they didn't use him as much as I thought they were going to.
Right.
But his output was actually really good considering how many times he did get the ball. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't like a 25. He wasn't like that all-purpose back, but he was very efficient with when he carried the ball.
Yeah, yep. But I'm really excited to see if they use some more of Justice Hill this week, and you guys can join the Justice League when he breaks out next year.
You know what's scary about this team, other than like Mark Ingram and a few defensive players?
In a Bluetooth.
It's a young team. Like
It
Hollywood
is.
Brown hasn't
It
even
is.
cracked his potential.
And again, you mentioned Mark Ingram, not young. You got a Justice Hill that I'm telling
That's
you
what I'm
is going
saying.
to slide right in
This team
there.
is very young, so
Yeah.
they're going to be competing again next
Let's
year
see
and
if
the year
Lamar.
after.
Let's see if Lamar can handle the bright lights. That's the one thing that's interesting to me. Is in the playoffs. Can he handle the bright lights? Can he, especially if they get to the AFC Championship and, oh my God, the Super Bowl? Remember Cam Newton? He was 2 days into like the whole press week. What do they call that? The media week.
Yeah.
He was like 2 days into it, and he's like, I've already had enough, and it affected him in the game. So
I think deep down Lamar doesn't seem that way. At least what I'm gathering at his his interviews and conversations. I don't know if you read the article on him. I think it was last week, not this week. He found a quarter on the ground on the field. It was tails.
Yeah.
And tails prevails, he says. He's like, oh, a lucky quarter. I found the tails up. He gave it to the coach. Hold on, it's lucky. Well, he forgot about it all game. Went to find his quarter because he thought it was a lucky quarter because it was on tails. He can't find it. He's like, someone stole my quarter. He was more concerned about the quarter than he was the
he's
game.
a good kid, obviously.
He seems very down to earth. I don't think he'll be like that.
He's just having fun out there. But again, so was Cam until the big lights.
But
So
yeah,
we'll
like
see how that
Cam
goes.
dresses weird.
Yeah, Cam's an eccentric guy. There's anything wrong with that. Sources say Jay Ajayi will be cut by Philly, and they're expecting Jordan Howard back. So that's good,
He was
good news for
insurance.
them.
I think he was insurance. Howard actually had a really good season. But I think deep down, I think Howard may be gone after the end of the season. I think Miles Sanders. I think Howard's gone.
I don't think so, just because that coaching staff just loves to run multiple running backs.
Yeah,
and
but
Howard has really proven.
They're gonna save money if they cut Howard. I think they keep Miles Sanders and Boston Scott.
I don't know how much they paid Howard, but you're on to something with Boston Scott.
He's really good.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So they could save money right there, and then no, they're losing Darren Sproles. Did Darren Sproles really play that much this year?
Yeah.
And I mean, he was great. He was great when he's younger,
Sproles
but
is a non-factor.
yeah, non-factor.
All right, John, top 100. We want to get into the top 100, and we need the help of the Armchair Army. We need you guys to advocate for us. Share our content. Please, 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 I'm begging you guys, share our content on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If we post something, share it. Simple as that. Just one click. And I know you guys are on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram. So if you're not doing this, ask yourself why. Help us out.
And the ones that are sharing, because
The ones that are, we greatly appreciate
on my
it.
Facebook, thank you.
Yep.
Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I thank you for it.
I don't want to lose sight of that for sure.
Yes.
Yeah, there are a lot of you guys.
There's
that
a
are
lot of you
doing
that share it all the time, and I thank you for that support. Like I said, this is a dream come true. We want to keep this dream going. So just keep sharing that, and the ones who aren't sharing, please, guys, come on. I know there's some of you that really
and they're liking.
Yeah.
In what's the Twitter version of liking? I guess it's
tweeting.
So if you're liking, that's awesome.
Oh, loving, you mean
loving?
The
Yeah,
love
whatever
thing.
it is. Liking, loving, shoving. That's good.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, but the retweets and the shares are really what's going to get people's attention. So if you can do that, and you can leave a review on Apple Podcast and subscribe, of course, which you probably already are. Or if you subscribe to us on YouTube and leave a comment on one of our videos, you can win a Armchair Fantasy Football T-shirt, which are really, really cool. And I also want to take a mention to moment. How's that? Take a moment to mention our GoFundMe
Can you guys tell that he's especially been hanging out with me?
I'm especially tired, is what I am.
I should get some kudos there. I pronounced it right for once.
Yeah.
Especially.
Sun shines on a dog's rear end sometimes, right?
Yeah. Look at yesterday's championship.
All right, that'll be fine. Anyway, so if you guys can support us by making a donation on our GoFundMe page, www.gofundme.com/armchair-fantasy-football-podcast. You do these reads and tell me how you do. We would obviously greatly appreciate that as well. Or share any of the posts that we put out on that. GoFundMe is a great way for us to recoup some of the investment that we put into this, and we do have to pay monthly fees as well to post our content. So anything, $5, price of a coffee. We would love to see it.
Will it go as low as a buck?
A buck.
A buck.
Just a buck.
A buck.
We'll take it. But we appreciate you guys, honestly, and I don't want to take away from this. You're listening. You're playing our stuff on whatever platform you're listening on. You're downloading our material, and that is infinitely appreciated as well. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty, and let's bust through this week's games, John, and kind of break it down. And at the end, I had a surprise for you. We're going to do a lightning round start-sit for next week for those crazy people, you crazy cats that are in Week 17 championships. But first, we're going to start with this past week. Are you ready to break it down?
Yeah, let's do this.
All right, let's start with the Texans. They beat the Buccaneers 23-20, John. It was an ugly game, especially for the quarterbacks. And I think it's safe to say the year of the quarterback, this was not, John. I've never seen poorer quarterback play from a fantasy standpoint than I have this year.
Lamar Jackson is the only quarterback.
No. Pat Mahomes, let's give him some love. If
he didn't get hurt, no. Lamar Jackson and Pat Mahomes are probably the only two solidified ones that have actually played and are actually, I would say, the number one, number two quarterback. Mahomes, it doesn't reflect it as stat-wise because he missed those games.
Yeah.
But if he didn't miss those games, he clearly would have been number two.
Yeah. And we're going to do a top 10 quarterback and break that down in the offseason, so I don't want to get too much into that. But definitely a lot of inconsistency. This is just a great example of it. Deshaun Watson, 19th for 32 with 184 yards. Thank God he didn't get a touchdown because he didn't. And he threw an interception. A horrible game for Deshaun Watson and a plus matchup. Don't know what happened there. He did lose Will Fuller, but, I mean, you expect more, and you've seen more in tougher matchups.
The only thing I think affected this game, and I don't know the trend yet, I think it's the weather. Yeah. I don't think he plays well in the heat.
Yeah, and it's a Saturday game, and you may be onto something there. But
Tampa is like 90 degrees, guys.
Yeah. But he plays in Houston, bro. Like,
but
that's a dome, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a dome, so it's a controlled temperature.
Right.
Tampa is 90. It's an outside game.
Yeah.
I knew there was a chance of rain, but I think it was the day after. But even then, it's kind of like Brady when he comes down to Miami. Players don't do well in the heat, and I think this is a trend I'm going to watch going forward, just in case he travels
definitely something to keep an eye on.
Down to the south. I don't know. It's just I didn't expect this out of Watson, but
apparently Jameis can't play in the heat either because he was 25 for 48, 335 yards, but in one touchdown, but 4 interceptions. John, I wonder if that puts a sour taste in Tampa Bay's mouth. I think they wanted to at least franchise tag him. I think they got to really think hard about that. The running game, Ronald Jones had a good game for you. 14 carries for 77 yards, 5.5 yards a carry, and a touchdown on the ground. Also through the air, 3 for 32. Really good game from Ronald Jones.
Ugh.
But I have a theory. Obviously, this team and Bruce Arians does not believe in Ronald Jones. And maybe this will probably be on my early hot takes when we get done with this season. But I think Arizona's looking to trade David Johnson. And who better than to go after him than Bruce Arians? I really think you can see David Johnson on Tampa next year.
Now, that would be a good take.
That would be a great thing. Because, obviously, Arians loves Johnson's most success came when Arians was his coach, and it's very clear that he does not believe in either of these two running backs. Other notables in this game, though, Brashad Perriman, 7 catches for 102 yards. That was pretty much it for the Tampa side of the ball. And in Houston, Kenny Stills 5 for 57, got you 10 points in PPR there. But really nothing to see here. Carlos Hyde got a touchdown, but 17 carries for 27 yards and 1.6 yards per carry is about as bad as I've ever seen, John. So this was just an ugly game. So I know you were loving this game when it ended, John. I'm sure you were pretty happy with the outcome.
No, I was actually shocked. I didn't send, you know me, I don't really send texts rubbing it and stuff, but I'm like...
I wasn't rubbing it into you today, by the way.
No,
I did send my champ is here.
Yeah, but you know what?
Yeah.
Work circumstances, I was already in a bad mood.
I wasn't like, you suck, Royce.
No. But you saw the text I said, don't rub it in. I didn't do it last year.
Yeah, we were good. We were good. So on to the Bills-Patriots, John. Another pretty ugly game here. Josh Allen is an interesting case. He's kind of like, he doesn't always throw a ton of yards, and when he doesn't, he throws touchdowns, and when he doesn't do that, he gets yards on the ground. So he had a pretty good fantasy day here. 208 yards through the air and 2 touchdowns, and 7 carries for 43 yards. So a pretty solid game there. Disappointment for me, and by the way, Cole Beasley, 7 for 108. So he's really carving out a niche in that offense. And then John Brown, he was on the fantasy box score, man. He got 1 catch for 53 yards and a touchdown, and that's sometimes all it takes. Disappointment for me here was Devin Singletary. And I don't know, I mean, I wasn't watching this game, John, but I don't know if Frank Gore just didn't get a carry, if he was inactive, what happened there. Because he did not show up on the box score. But Devin Singletary, 15 carries for 46 yards. I was disappointed by that. What are your thoughts?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I did not watch this first half of the game. Watching the second half, Patriots threw a lot more blitzes second half, so I don't know if it was something they were trying to just... I think the reason why Pats won this game, and I'm not saying it happened, but I think that the deciding factor of this game was Belichick just outsmarting McDermott here.
You know,
especially at the end, all those blitzes, they were blitzing every down on the last drive.
In the Patriots won the division for the 11th year in a row. I mean, at what point are we going to shake up the divisions here? This is getting embarrassing. And I kind of laid it out. A bunch of guys and I at work were talking about this at lunch, and I said, look, Indy to the north, Baltimore to the east, Miami to the south. Simple as that. And you're going to even out those divisions a little bit more. But I think they want New England in the championship every year if they can massage that. And as long as these teams are in this division, New England's always going to win it. Because the one factor here, I thought, John, for New England to win was when Tom Brady has the ball with 5 minutes or less in the fourth quarter, every team in this division, their brains just leak out of the side of their head. It just happens every time. And that's exactly what happened here. Still, though, John, not a great game. The year of the quarterback, it is not. Brady is declining. 271 yards and a touchdown. Is not a huge game.
Efficiency numbers, though, if you look at what he did, I mean, especially at his age now, he's 26 of 33. Especially. 26 of 33 for 78.8% completion percentage.
But that's not a stud quarterback. That's just a guy.
No, that's a 42-year-old quarterback.
Well,
that's what it is. Age is catching up.
Which means he's declining.
No, I'm not saying he's not declining. I'm just saying we can't expect the Brady to throw 42 of 60 anymore for 380 yards and 3 touchdowns. Those games are over.
And that's the point.
He's a game manager.
You can't rely on this guy anymore. He's not the only one. Aaron Rodgers is declining. Phillip Rivers has declined.
Oh,
Tom Brady has declined. Like it's happening, and the sad thing, and I know I keep harping on this quarterback thing, but the sad thing is there's nobody up and coming that is at their level from a fantasy standpoint. So anyway, Brady might have saved your day with that touchdown, but I doubt you were starting him in the championship anyway. Sony Michel, 21 carries for 96 yards at a decent 4.6 yards a clip there. And he did catch 1 pass for 5 yards. So Michelle had a decent day. Probably get you 10. Right around 10. Not bad. Didn't kill you. And, of course, Rex Burke had 5 for 20. And he got a touchdown.
Burkhead was sneaky.
Let's not hang our hat on his 5 carries. And they just happened to give him a goal.
No. It's the 4 catches.
Well, he did well in the receiving game. But as a runner, he didn't exactly dominate. You said he was going to affect Sony Michel, and he really didn't on the ground with
I thought he would.
Sony's 21 carries, but he'd have a good game overall. They hate Sony Michel, so he didn't get the goal line carry, and Burkhead did, and Burkhead made hay on that. And then he had 4 catches for 77 yards with a long of 31, so that big 31-yard catch was huge for him. Edelman came back to form, 5 for 72, and that's about it. Again, John, I'm not really understanding the usage of N'Keal Harry. I just don't get it. Can you explain it to me?
He's going to be on some...
3 targets for this guy. And he catches 2 of them for 21 yards,
Unless
John.
there's something we don't know, like he's not running his routes right or something. I don't know. I don't know the reason for it. He may not be polished up on his routes, but from what all his college stuff said, he was a good route runner, good with his hands. I just don't think...
He caught 2 or 3 of his targets for 10 yards a catch, which is solid. That's good. It's not elite. You see like 15 yards a catch with the elite guys, but I just don't understand why they're not giving him more targets and more looks. That's how he's going to get better. Wouldn't you agree with that?
Either that or we're being fools and they're going to do it more in the playoffs.
They could.
They could be, honestly, they could be saving him for the playoffs for all we know.
I wouldn't put it past him. I really wouldn't.
It'd be very sneaky, and nobody's going to sit there and cover him in the playoffs.
Yeah. Rams 49ers, John. Pretty big one here. This was like a prize fight. Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Jared Goff, 27-46, 323 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Jimmy Garoppolo, 248, a touchdown, 2 interceptions. So the quarterbacks did not look great, but they did enough. On the ground, Raheem Mostert, only 11 carries, which is a little disappointing. 53 yards, and he did get a touchdown because you started him. If you hadn't, he probably wouldn't have got one. And then Deebo Samuel, John, three carries for 28 yards and a touchdown. I told you before, I'll tell you again, he is a superstar in this league, and it's coming soon. Maybe as early as next year, certainly in the third year breakout, as we like to talk about. Deebo Samuel, something special. Also caught 4 catches for 31 yards. So this guy is rushing the ball. He's catching the ball. He's like one of those running backs that catch passes, but it's in reverse. He's a receiver that runs the ball. He's going to be special. Don't you agree?
Oh, yeah. What happened to Matt Breida?
He's non-existent. Yeah. Yeah, maybe they don't want him to get hurt. Maybe they're saving him for the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't know. He didn't get 1 carry in this game, no looks, no nothing out of the pass game either.
And the glass shattered when George Kittle was handing out stone cold stunners left and right. One of them to John. 5 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown.
Kittle had 2 targets at the first half for 0 yards, and I'm like, oh, I'm in good shape here.
It doesn't matter where you start; it's where you finish, John. And
then look at Todd Gurley.
Yeah, well, we'll get over there. Emmanuel Sanders, 3 catches for 61 yards, so just a so-so day for him. He's been up and down as of late, and I think a big part of that, John, is Deebo and of course George Kittle. Any other thoughts on San Fran before we kick over to L.A.?
Nope.
All right, we touched on Jared Goff. Todd Gurley, 15 carries for 48 yards, 2 touchdowns. And through the air, he didn't do a thing, but he did get targeted twice. But that's not a great day, obviously, for Gurley. Not very efficient, but he got the touchdowns, and that's what matters, man. He's getting the usage at the goal line. So he gave you a decent day, but it wasn't pretty going, getting there.
That was the first half, really, most of it.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
That's why I was like, wow, what's going on?
Yeah. And we mentioned, like I said, we already went over Goff. Robert Woods, dude. He is, once again, the number 1 receiver on this team, and it's weird how it ebbs and it flows. And Cooper Kupp caught a touchdown, and he got 4 catches for 31 yards. But again, 4 targets for Cooper Kupp, man. He's not out there on a lot of, like, any downs where there's an expectation to block. He's not out.
They've changed their offense the last 4 weeks. His usage, or how much his snap percentage is gone down tremendously. Like, he's gone from like an 80% snap count down to like 40.
Yeah.
He's not being used in every set now. And the interesting factor here is Higbee.
I'll touch on that. Yeah, Higbee, 104, 9 catches for 104.
4 straight games of 100 yards. I thought Everett coming back that Higbee wouldn't do this. I figured maybe 4 targets.
Everett didn't ever get targeted once. And once again, John, Higbee leads the team in targets with Robert Woods. Both had 11 targets in this game. Unbelievable. And Brandon Cooks is starting to come back to life at the end of the season here. 4 catches for 39 yards on 6 targets and a touchdown. Don't know what's going on with Cooper Kupp, but it does not look good. It does not look good, and he makes me nervous for next season. And I'll pick on Ernie here because he's a double champion and he can handle it. But, Ernie had lost his mind when there was a trade involving Cooper Kupp and Kenyon Drake. And I don't remember the specifics of the trade, but he and a couple other people in the league just lost their minds. They said, we need vetoes in this league. We need to vote. And I'm like, there's no vetoes. There never will be. They're dumb because people react with emotion. And look at Kenyon Drake and look at Cooper Kupp.
Yeah.
Who would you rather have right now?
Kenyon Drake.
It's the Drake.
6 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
Yeah, man.
So you look at that trade. The person who got Kenyon Drake won that trade.
Yep, for sure.
But yet everybody was saying veto that trade. That's fantasy for you right there.
It really is. Yep, it really is. And that's why we don't do vetoes. So other than that, John, not much to see there. But the Rams are starting to look like at least a shell of their former selves offensively the last few weeks. But 49ers, man, that's a good team. But their defense is starting to show some cracks, man. Rams hung up 31 on them, so that's interesting.
Last 4 or 5 weeks have been they're getting banged up on defense. Or it's either that or they're just playing to their true form. I know they started off hot, but teams just don't. I don't know. I know, like, Sherman was 100%. I get that. But it's the same defense. It's just maybe teams are just figuring out their schemes now.
Could be. All right, ready to move on to the next game?
Yep, Giants,
We're
Redskins.
going to plow through these. Giants, Redskins. All right, I'll let you open that one up. That's not the next game on my slate, but you can take over here.
New York Giants defeated the Washington Redskins 41-35 in overtime. Dr. Jones returned here, and he did return.
No time below.
28 of 42 for 352 yards and 5 TDs. This is the Dr. Jones we've been waiting for all year, but I don't think he'll do this every game. But the guy who crushed my dreams in Dynasty, but helped me win the consolation bracket, Saquon Barkley, 22 of 189 and for a TD, and that doesn't even include his receiving game, 4 catches for 90 yards and a TD. So thank you for helping me win the consolation, but no thank you for hurting me in the Dynasty. Golden Tate had 11 targets, 6 catches for 96 yards, and then Sterling Shepard, 6 targets, 6 receptions, 76 yards, and a TD.
Are you ready? Are we moving?
Darius Slayton
just
disappeared.
Nada. What about the Washington side of the ball? Hold on.
Hawaii. All right, that's good. It's hard to trace, I guess. Wait, you changed your name to McLovin? McLovin? What kind of a stupid name is that, Fogel? What, are you trying to be an Irish R&B singer?
Oh, they let you pick any name you want when you get down?
And he picked McLovin, and he had a pretty good game. I was debating on whether he was worthy of his little skit here, but I figured he was. 15 PPR points will do it.
And you want to know why he looked better?
Tell me why.
Because Case Keenum was back.
Case Keenum was back. But McLovin, man, is he's good, dude. He looks like he's an encouraging wide receiver 2 at least next year. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it all depends what route they take with the quarterback. If they're staying with Haskins, I don't want to have anything to do with McLovin. If Keenum or another quarterback comes in, I'm loving McLovin all day long.
Loving McLovin.
I'm McLovin it.
I'm loving Saquon Barkley. I just want to
I know, we've gone over
kind of
this.
go back to him. Let's go back to Saquon Barkley.
So, Adrian Peterson did not do nothing in this game. 15-36 for 1 TD, so he was shut down. Surprisingly, Steve Sims.
Yeah.
10 targets, 6 receptions, 64
yards. Not
yards.
Phil Sims, not Chris
and
Sims.
2 TDs.
Not Deion Sims.
No, that was the shining stars on the...
Cam Sims.
Yep. No, Steve Sims.
There's a Cam Sims,
yeah, but
too.
he's the different.
There's a lot of Sims going on there. Remember that game, The Sims?
Oh, I don't remember that.
It was like an early 2000s deal. That was pretty fun.
So, Case Keenum here came back. But Haskins did start. He was 12-15 for 133 and 2 touchdowns. And then Keenum came in 16 of 22 for 158 yards and a TD. So there was like a duo here.
The real story in this one's Barkley just housing. He's just going
Imagine
nuts.
when he gets a line.
Imagine, so he's healthy now. Dude, you got bright days ahead of you next year with the.
I knew in our league of record that making that
Here we
trade
go.
was gonna hurt me. But what do I say? It's for the future, and you know what? If Barkley does anything what he did the last 2 games next year, watch out.
Yeah. All right, you kind of jumped around on me, but we're going to the Falcons and the Jaguars. Gunter. What do you think, John? I told you last week I wouldn't be surprised at all if Foles nor Gunter Minshew were the starting quarterback for these Jacksonville Jaguars next year. And pretty good matchup for the old Gunter, but 181 yards and a touchdown ain't going to cut the mustard. He did add 7 carries for 36 yards, but didn't even crack 20 points in this one.
I don't know. I mean, Gunter, I don't even know what to say here. I guess wait and see what weapons they give him. Their lines aren't awful. It's like probably middle of the pack, but he just doesn't. He's so sporadic. Like there's no consistency out of Minshew. It's kind of depressing. But I mean, their season's over. What are they playing for?
There is an encouraging player on this team. Leonard Fournette, dude, is a top 10 running back this year, and he's only got 3 touchdowns on the year. So there is definitely going to be some positive regression for Leonard Fournette, I would think, from a touchdown standpoint next year. He did have 15 carries for 71 yards in this one. And again, we love seeing the receiving work as well. 6 targets, caught 3 of them for 34. So Fournette had a fine game. Chris Conley, man, 2 for 56 and a touchdown. He's like the red zone monster on that team. Like, he's just got a nose for the end zone. And that was pretty much it.
You know who didn't show up?
DJ Chark. Dude, didn't. It was bad, dude.
I think he rushed back from his injury. I know they said he was going to play, but he had 2 catches for 18 yards.
This week was just weird, dude. You had guys that were surefire studs like Hopkins in his matchup and Chark in his matchup. And then you had the opposite end of it where guys just went off that you wouldn't have expected. Like Chris Sims or whatever that guy's name is.
Steve Sims.
Whatever. Matt Ryan, 384 yards and a touchdown, 2 interceptions.
But 300 yards again.
Yeah, for sure. Devonta Freeman balled out, dude, like we thought he would. 13 carries, 53 yards and a touch. He also made it happen through the air, 9 catches for 74 yards and a touchdown there. Like I said, you start Devonta Freeman in good matchups. He will come through for you. He's not one of those guys that'll let you down with a sweet matchup. Russell Gage had a pretty good day, John. 5 catches for 49 yards. Austin Hooper's back after he probably cost everybody their spot in the playoffs, but 7 catches for 82 yards there. And Julio Jones, talk about costing teams the playoffs. He did that to you in week 1, and then he's dominated ever since week 1 of the playoffs, and then dominated ever since then. 10 catches for 166 yards.
Makes you wonder if they ever should have got Ridley. Look at the Julio numbers.
You know, that's a good point, John. The Ridley being gone, except for week 14, has really made a difference here. But Gage is getting, I think, Ridley's action.
Julio's targets are through the roof. His yardage of receptions are through the roof.
Well, next week it'll be interesting because they're playing Tampa. And Tampa actually, if you look, has done a great job of shutting down the number 1 receiver on like every team they've played. So we'll see. We'll see if he can do that next week. For those of you in fantasy championships, you're gonna start him anyway. Ravens Browns, John. This was just the Browns just showed up, clocked in, got beat down, and clocked out. That's pretty much how this one went. You want to start with? Why don't we start with Cleveland? You want to take that?
I wanted Baltimore, but it's fine. Cleveland, Baker Mayfield, 20 of 33, 60.6, 192 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Typical game from Baker here. Nick Chubb, though, not a great game here, but he was going against a tough D here. Baltimore Ravens have turned their defense around. Nick Chubb, 15 of 45, a measly 3 yards a carry, and he had 1 target in the passing game for 0 yards.
In his defense, he's been good. He's
the league leading. Well, was the league leading rusher.
Yeah.
But in his defense, he has been outstanding this year. He had a tough matchup, like I said. Baltimore, week 2 or week 3, you could play him with. You could play players against them with confidence. Now, they're top 5 D. They've turned it around.
Oh yeah,
they really have. Jarvis Landry, captain consistent. That's all he'd be known as.
Yeah, no doubt.
8 targets, 7 receptions, 74 yards. Odell Beckham, this still not living up to even
got
close.
the touchdown though.
But he got the touchdown to save his day. 6 targets, 4 receptions, 44 yards, and a TD. I doubt anybody started him because of how bad he's been. I'd be surprised.
Yeah.
Kareem Hunt still getting it done in the backfield, though.
A little bit.
Not so much the running aspect. He had 3 attempts for 0 yards, but
Yeah.
4 catches for 33 yards. That's 8 yards a catch, over 8 yards a catch.
And he's been doing really well. And my hot take episode, I'm going to give you guys a couple of spoilers. You heard my David Johnson one. He's going to be playing for Bruce Arians again. Got a funny feeling Kareem Hunt's going to be playing for the big old walrus over there in Kansas City again.
Have you noticed
Andy Reid.
who's irrelevant since he's come back?
Who?
David Njoku.
Yeah, he wasn't relevant before.
No, I didn't think so either, but I'm just saying the hype. On the Baltimore side of the ball, Lamar Jackson. That's all I'm going to say. He is for real.
He is no doubt for real,
20
man.
of 31 for 238 yards and 3 TDs.
Yeah.
And then chipped in another 17 attempts on the ground for 103 yards. Teams, I don't know what you're trying to do. You're trying to cover him with the run. His fakes for his handoffs are so good that everybody is biting on the run, and then he's throwing these sidearm, like not even just sidearm. He just, like, his throws. I don't know where people got either that or his offseason was so good because his accuracy is actually not bad.
Yeah.
But his throws are making are amazing, and his favorite throws are going to Mark Andrews. 9 targets, 6 receptions, 93 yards, and 2 TDs. Here is a guy that wasn't even considered a top 5 tight end. He's got to be, what, number 2? Number 3 for tight ends?
Yeah.
Overall?
Yeah. No, he's awesome, dude. And I'm looking to trade him for like a 3rd-round pick, and people are like trepidatious over it. And I'm like, what are you guys thinking? You know?
And Mark Ingram, yes, he did get hurt in this game. 8 attempts for 55 yards. That's 7 yards a clip, guys. Oh, sorry, it's a hair under. It's like 6.9. And then he also had 2 catches for 36 yards and a TD. So Mark Ingram, even with Lamar Jackson rushing, it actually helps him, I think, because they don't know who the ball is going to. But surprising part is, like we've said, Marquise Hollywood-Brown just – he's so raw, but he showed the flash potential. He was irrelevant in this game. This was basically a game from Ingram, Andrews, and Lamar Jackson. But the shining star of the game, Justice Hill, 3 carries for 19 yards and a TD, and he had 3 catches for 32 yards. No, I'm just using that as
But he broke out, man.
No, he shows. Well, come on, over 10 yards a catch. And then on top of that, he basically ran the ball for 6 yards a carry. The kid looks good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, a Mark Ingram injury does help him.
I like him a lot. I'm a huge fan of Justice Hill. I thought it would happen this year. Not quite. Apparently, they're making him earn his stripes. But when he does get a reasonable amount of usage, John, he shows, and he's really good. And I hope that this is a baseline or a foundation for something more next season. But, yeah. So what's next? You want to go to another game?
Might as well get the Bengals.
Lob it up. No, let's do the Saints, bro. Saints and the Titans. And,
rubbing that Kamara.
Yeah,
Can't pick a game. Well, actually, I think you had everybody in every
Alvin Kamara. Everybody was down on Alvin Kamara. Everybody was out on him. It's over. He's not the same guy. It must be an injury. They must be mad at him. He must be in the doghouse.
He did cost himself on one play. He was wide open on the sideline, and he stepped out. I don't know why either.
Yeah.
It was weird.
He had 11 carries for 80 yards. Meanwhile, that other schmuck, Latavius Murray at 7 for 14 at a rocking 2 yards a carry.
Is it me or Latavius Murray a huge fantasy disappointment this year?
He kind of has been, yeah. Unless when Kamara was out, he wasn't even, he should have been awesome, but he really wasn't. But we're here to talk about Alvin Kamara. 11 carries for 80 yards and 2 touchdowns. I was at work, and John was like, I'm going to lose, like he always does. But I also said the same thing, and then I'm like, you'll be fine, dude. And then, like, I'm looking at my phone, and I'm looking at it. Barkley gets a touchdown.
It was an 80-yarder, too.
I'm like, after that Barkley touchdown, it's going to be a little harder. And then, almost immediately after that, Kamara gets a touchdown. I'm like, that's going to be a little tough.
He literally scored, 50 points in a matter of, it was, less than 5 minutes. And he's like, it's over.
Yeah, and then Kamara had 6 receptions for 30 yards. So seeing that passing game work. Love this guy. Very happy to have him on my Dynasty squad. Drew Brees, 279 yards and 3 touchdowns. Drew Brees has been back to his old self this year, John, and it's if you own him, it's He's making it worth your while. And, of course, the record breaker, Shock T. Ernie has been right in the back of Shock T, the Humpty Hump himself, Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas!
So the numbers, okay, maybe it's me. I don't know. I was a big Michael Thomas fan, no matter, like, even before this year. Michael Thomas, come on, guys. Give him some consideration for MVP here. He is doing, this is Antonio
He
Brown.
won't, though, because Drew Brees is his quarterback.
I know, but I'm just saying. 145 receptions. The season's not over. 176 targets.
Dude, can you, like, if a player gets, he might get the 200 targets I talked about for Screwju Smith-Schuster, but, if he's got, how many catches, John?
145.
That's an elite target count. If that's just targets, that's an elite target
No,
count.
but time out. 176 targets, 145 receptions.
That's what I'm saying. If a receiver gets 145 targets, that's awesome.
Yes.
You love that.
Yes.
This is receptions.
And I don't even know if they're playing next week. I mean, you know what I'm saying, if they're playing their starters or not, but the guy has 1,688 receiving yards.
He has the record in 15 games.
He has 9 TDs, and we can't consider this guy for MVP. I know it's hard when you...
I get it.
You know what I'm saying? McCaffrey is going to probably reach 2,000. I hate to say it. He's going to reach 2,000.
I would say so.
We'll go into that more when we get to that game, but
another guy on Ernie's squad. We wonder why he won the championship.
Yeah, give Michael
Thomas.
Thomas...
Lamar Jackson.
Yes, give Michael Thomas some love.
Ernie literally beat Jake. Come on, Jake, step your game up.
You're the top 3 fantasy
players. You
players.
get the championship, you put up less than 80 points. That's unacceptable. He literally could have beat... This is how good Ernie's team was this year. And it was based on those 3 guys. He literally could have beat Jake's entire squad with just those 3 guys.
He could have beat Jake with his bench.
Those 3 guys scored more points than Jake's team. And probably Jake's bench.
Hey, Jake, at least I scored 100 in my championship.
Come on, bro. Step your game up. So where the heck were we on this? We got very excited about Shock T, Michael Thomas.
Jared Cook also had a good game.
Jared
3
Cook did
catches
have a
for
solid
84
game.
yards and,
Yep.
2 TDs.
He's been good this year. He started slow, and it looked like the Jared Cook that the only Jared Cook we saw that was any good was the one in Oakland, and looked like he was reverting back.
Is Taysom Hill.
You love this guy.
He's just a glitch guy. I just wish he had a better role.
That's dynamite.
But I can't trust him.
Nobody cares about Taysom Hill, John.
Well, you know
You're
what?
the only guy that cares about Taysom Hill.
He's glitchy, man.
That's great.
Probably next year go off.
We are in a fantasy football podcast. He doesn't win anybody weeks in fantasy football. He's a great little guy to have.
Maybe DFS. Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill, 17 of 27 for 3 TDs and 272 yards.
Future Hall of Famer Ryan Tannehill all of a sudden.
Man, I know. I get they lost this. I get they lost this game, but this team is 100 times better with Tannehill than Mariota.
Yeah.
Way better. But the thing that did kill this team this week is Derrick Henry did not play this game.
Deion Lewis, your boy. Holla at your boy. You got 4.5 yards a carry, 15 carries.
Against a tough run game, too.
Yeah.
I expected more passes, though, but it didn't happen. But A.J. Brown, 1 attempt for 49 yards and a TD, but just disappeared.
Yeah, I had a feeling that could have.
game.
Tajay Sharp, the leading target getter. Is that how to say it?
It's Tajay Sharp. He actually showed
More like
up.
Target Sharp. He got 6 targets. 5 of them were received for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And there's your
Where did that come from? And Jonnu Smith, y'all.
Yeah,
Jonnu
here I am.
Smith.
I'm like, oh, Jonnu Smith scored a touchdown. Wait a minute. He didn't play him because he played George
I
Kittle.
have George Kittle.
I know, but I just saw Jonnu Smith and I forgot. I remember
Dude,
you
but
picking
look
him
at
up.
my tight ends on my bench in that league. I have Goddard. I have Jonnu. I have Hollister.
Yeah, but look at me.
I could have beat you with my tight ends.
Greg Olsen, Zach Ertz, Higbee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Me and you are loaded on tight ends. I think we have half the tight ends in that league.
And I just got Jonnu Smith out the waiver wire last week. I'm like, what's going on here? All right. Carolina Panthers. Your boy Will Greer got his first start, John.
What's my boy?
I mean, not quite your hot take where he was going to start the first week of the season. He started the 16th week of the season for 224 yards and threw 3 picks. He bad. You know who's not bad? Christian McCaffrey, 13 for 54. So really not great on the ground, nothing much on the ground, but then 15 catches for 119 yards through the air. This is just unfair.
Time out. I can say I'm right about one thing. Can I say I'm right for once?
Sure.
What are my hot takes? What did I say?
I don't remember. That was
Just
a
come
long
on,
time
give me
ago.
some credit here.
That Christian McCaffrey would be good?
No, what did I predict? 2,200 all-purpose yards, right?
Yeah, you might hit 2,000.
All-purpose yards, 2294.
Is that what he has right now?
2294.
Oh, no kidding. So he's already
almost
there.
spot on. He's there, baby.
Yeah, you went beyond your prediction.
Yeah, I
there.
said 21 to 2,200.
Yeah, just an unfair advantage having Christian McCaffrey.
Christian McCaffrey will be the third player ever to only have 1,000 receiving yards and over 1,000 rushing.
And
Third
Saquon
player.
Barkley took him to school when I went against you in Dynasty. Don't ever forget that. Anyway,
I still have Christian McCaffrey.
it was pretty much the Christian McCaffrey show. Nobody else really came to work with their lunch pail here. Not even DJ Moore, dude.
Oh, he got hurt.
He did, but one reception for 1 yard. So did he get hurt on that play?
He got hurt very early in the game.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't have that in my news. You're the news guy. You should show up for work on time, John.
Oh, sorry, I was late today.
Jacoby Brissett. What did I tell you at the beginning of the season? I really told Jake mostly, but Jacoby Brissett's trash. He had 119 yards, no touchdowns. That's about as bad as it gets. But Marlon Mack, he's back. The return of the Mack.
Wilkins.
Yeah, Mack got 16 carries for 95 yards and a touchdown. Jordan Wilkins, 9 for 84 and a touchdown. Jacoby Brissett did get a touchdown on the ground.
You get a
but
touchdown, you get a touchdown.
still didn't have a very good day. Speaking of declines, John, is the decline of T.Y. Hilton arrived?
I think yes and no. I don't think he's 100%. I think they rushed T.Y. to try... What's the word I want to use? They were trying to, dig themselves out. That's why they kind of brought him back last week. I don't think they thought they were going to lose. Now, I would just shut him down. He's not 100%.
Three catches
You're out
for
of the
26
playoffs
yards.
now. Last week was your... If you would have won last week, you had a chance to make the playoffs.
But don't worry. I'm going to give another spoiler. Andrew Luck's coming back. Everything's going to be okay.
I don't think he goes to Indy, though.
He has to. They have the rights to him.
Oh, good point. Good point. Never mind.
You know who has the rights to Andy Dalton? Hopefully no one soon. He's not good typically, but he actually did ball out in this one against the lowly Miami Dolphins. So we're moving on to Cincinnati, as Bill Belichick would say. Andy Dalton, 396 yards and 4 touchdowns. We already told you that Joe Mixon was like, I'm in John Sorois's lineup. Yeah, I don't really feel like playing hard today. So he had 21 carries for 50 yards. So he got the carries that did nothing with them, John.
That stomach bug.
And 2 catches for 23 yards.
I figured he was trying to really get 1,000 yards rushing for the season. And I don't know. He just did not look himself. And he still missed 1,000 yards. So shame on you, Joe Mixon.
Yeah.
He has 975, so that's karma right
He'll
there.
probably get it, though.
Yeah, I'll get it this week.
Cincinnati, John, here's another spoiler alert. They have a really good receiving core, even without A.J. Green, who's now on IR. Tyler Boyd, 9 for 128 and 2 touchdowns. John Ross, 6 for 84. And with the injured Auden Tate, they've got a really good receiving core, and Tyler Eifert has actually stayed healthy for a good portion of the season. He had 4 catches for 57 yards and a touchdown. Yes, it was against Miami, but Cincinnati's offense was just straight up clicking in this
This is
one.
without A.J. Green either.
This is without A.J. Green. But that's what I'm saying. Boyd and Ross are an excellent duo. So,
And Tate.
Burrow, if it is him, is walking, and Tate's great too, is walking into a good situation here.
And that's what I'm thinking. If Joe Burrow is the talent that everybody's making him out to be, and from what I see, he's actually really good.
Yeah.
The
question is Zach Taylor there next year?
I'm hoping no. That's the only way.
I think they just need to hit the reset button.
Burrow's actually in a good spot. If he can click right away with these guys, he has a chance of being a really good rookie quarterback his first year with all these weapons.
This is a talented team, and they've regressed so far from where Merv Lewis had him. And I know it's Marv, but I like to call him Merv. They've regressed from that, and that was bad. So I don't know if Zach Taylor's going to make it. Maybe they give him the benefit of the doubt, but give him a good quarterback actually to. But Andy Dalton's got skills. It just was a bad year, but they played well this week. Tyler Boyd was a great start. I think I started him because we still play for Roto in our keeper league. On the other side of the ball, Ryan Fitzpatrick, 419 yards and 4 touchdowns. John, only 1 interception. Ryan Fitzpatrick's playing really well. Again, not a terribly difficult matchup against Cincinnati, but they might stick with him another year. Do you think they go after a quarterback, or do you think they try to continue to build the blocks of a solid
Well,
franchise.
at this point, I think you keep Fitzpatrick for another year, and you look for a running back because Gaskin ain't the answer, Laird ain't the answer.
No.
They need a running back.
Well, speaking of that,
And guess who's available?
and there's free agents too that are available. But you had somebody in mind there.
Oh, Jonathan Taylor
Yeah.
out of Wisconsin. The
Yep.
kid's good. The
And
kid's
Kareem,
really good.
Kareem Hunt will be out there. There'll
Yep.
be some free agents.
There's
So
some good
anyway,
free-
Gaskins had 16 carries for 55 yards, 3.4 yards per carry. Only a touchdown really made him look halfway decent. And Laird got his usual 2 yards a carry, 8 for 17. How that guy's even on an NFL team is beyond me.
Gesicki.
Mike Gesicki, dude. He's a talented guy. He really is. 6 catches for 82 yards and 2 touchdowns. And, of course, we mentioned the 5 catches for 111 yards at 22 yards a catch for Devontae Parker and a touchdown for him as well. But, yeah, Gesicki's good. Isaiah Ford's good, John. 5 for 68. Albert Wilson showed up, 7 for 79. And this is without Preston Williams, who's an excellent receiver.
Oh, when they get Williams back next year, I'm actually... You got to look at regression next year for Devontae Parker. I'm not trying to sound
don't
mean,
know,
but
man.
Preston Williams was the number one, and then Devontae, as soon as Williams went down, Devontae exploded.
But I do not think Devontae Parker has had more than one single-digit game all season.
no, I'm not saying like...
So that was even with Williams.
I'm not saying like extreme regression. I just think the numbers where he's blown up like lately.
Listen,
I'm just saying with Preston Williams there, I don't know. I think this team is a running back away from being a lot better. They're not...
Listen. Even if you see regression from Parker, I think he's still a solid fantasy wide receiver 2, a low end 2, definitely a high end 3. And sometimes guys just need a new coach, a new system, a new way of life to figure it out. Same situation with Drake going to Arizona. Devontae Parker has just straight up figured it out, bro. And you got to give him credit for that. And once you figure it out in the NFL, you don't lose it.
Either
you know
that
what
or
I mean?
Flores just figured it out for him.
And maybe that's the case.
Get this guy the ball all the time.
But they've got holes on the offensive line. They've got big holes on defense. In a running back, you're right. They might draft one. Who knows? But I think Fitzpatrick's around for another year, and then they might go after their franchise quarterback in the next draft. We'll see how that goes. Steelers and the Jets was as boring as we expected it to be.
Mind is blown here. I can't believe the Steelers, they've been playing red hot.
Yeah.
And to lose against the Jets, it just shocked me.
Well, Duck Hodges was so bad they benched him for Mason Rudolph.
And they're talking about starting Mason this week.
Yeah, it's just Mason got hurt though, so I don't know. They're both garbage. So what I need Pittsburgh to understand is these guys should both be cut, and you guys really got to take it seriously with a backup quarterback. Maybe Andy Dalton is a guy to go after, but they cannot go into next season with a 37-year-old Big Ben Roethlisberger and not have a legitimate backup.
What about Phillip Rivers here, possibly?
Does Rivers want to take a backup role, though? That's the thing. I think
don't know
a team offers him a starting role...
Is Big Ben coming back?
He hasn't given any indication that he's not. And Screwju Smith-Schuster certainly wants him back. 2 catches for 22 yards. Did exactly what I said he was going to do. Nothing. He's not an elite receiver. It's sad, but it's clear that he's not. I think he is with the right quarterback. But elite receivers, John, we've seen it with DeAndre. How many times has DeAndre Hopkins performed with a trash quarterback before Deshaun Watson rolled into town? Michael Thomas is out there with Teddy Bridgewater, who's not a great quarterback.
No, but he broke records this year.
Performing, yeah.
Bridgewater started 4 games.
Yep. Screwju Smith-Schuster just not getting it done. But he's still very young. So I'm not saying he can't be an elite receiver, and I think he can
but
and
he
will.
needs a quarterback to back up
He's
his
not
play.
right
Michael
now.
Thomas and DeAndre Hopkins don't need that quarterback.
And I'm not picking on Schuster. It's unfair of me to expect him to be DeAndre Hopkins in just his second season, you know what I mean, or third season. You expect, he's given us so much already, John, that I think we got spoiled, and he needs a solid quarterback in there so he can continue to develop his skills. Deontay Johnson doesn't seem to have a hard time playing with these guys. 8 catches for 81 yards and a touchdown. And James Washington, to a lesser extent, 5 for 41. In the run game, James Conner, 6 carries. Kareth White, 6 carries. Benny Snell, 7 carries. Jalen Samuels, 3 carries. What the heck is going on?
So I'm going to speak hypothetically here. Le'Veon Bell they do not want to keep him in New York.
Do you have anything to say about the Pittsburgh running game and how spread out it was, or are you going to jump right over to the Jets?
No, I want to go into this.
Okay.
This is kind of Bell with the Jets, but the speculation that Le'Veon Bell will not be a Jet next year.
Okay.
Do you think Pittsburgh goes back after him and they regret the decision? Because there is talks of that.
I don't know, but maybe you should save that for your hot take episode. I don't think so. I think that's a little fantasy booking, so to speak. I don't see that happening. I think that was too sour of a breakup, and we need to remember Le'Veon Bell quit on his team, and I don't think that team wanted him back after
wait and see.
After that.
I've seen stranger things happen.
Definitely.
I actually have seen stranger things.
Yeah, it's a good show. Jamison Crowder 4 for 60. So he had like the 2-3 week lull, and then he's back in the cut. Robbie Anderson, another touchdown.
I'm telling you right now, my new favorite goal next year in my fantasy
you have
leagues,
to have Robbie Anderson.
Robbie Anderson
and stash
from
him
week
for the
10,
fantasy playoffs.
Week 10 on.
Yeah.
That's it. The guy
might be onto
has
something.
been electric from week 10 on. He has.
Yeah. And
a
as far-
touchdown almost every, I want to see it, actually. I'm wondering if it'll show. I think he's got a touchdown like every game since week 10.
While you're looking that up, they might not want him next year, but they gave him 25 carries. Le'Veon Bell in the quote-unquote revenge game, 25 carries for 72 yards, John, and he also caught 4 passes for 21 yards. So not a huge quote-unquote revenge game, but decent game nonetheless.
So I was just guessing, too. I said week 10. Week 10 is when it did start.
Yeah.
He didn't have a great week 10. He had a touchdown in that game, but he actually blew up week 11. He did have a touchdown week 10. He didn't have a great game there, but it was after that he blew up. He blew up for 5 for 86 for a TD. The next week after that, 10 for 101, no touchdowns. Next game after that, 11 for 117 and a touchdown. Next week after that, against the Ravens, 6 for 66, no TDs, and then 4 for 32 and a touchdown. So he's been lights out since week 10.
Yeah, no doubt.
So I think I know I'm targeting next year in week 10.
I don't blame you there.
And he did it last year, too. I don't know what it is. Something about, like, is it time to play? I don't think he'll be a Jet next year, but that's my speculation there.
All right. Moving on. One of your boys, John, had a pretty good game this week, and I'm curious to know if you feel that he's a keeper. We're moving on to Detroit, and we're moving on to one Kenny Golladay. Did you start him this week?
Nope.
You celebrate? Oh, here we go. Why do you never start Kenny Golladay when he has a good week, and you always start him when he stinks? I want you to celebrate.
No, I am celebrating because I still won without him.
I'm gonna say it with me. Golladay. Yeah, come on, dude. You're supposed to. You're supposed to be in sync with me.
Okay,
here.
so
Stare at me.
One thing that I am actually impressed with is Golladay now is starting to show his elite level. He is a third-year wide receiver next year.
Yeah.
And I think that's when he.
Yeah. But
truly
anyway,
breaks
6
out.
for 60, just to put some numbers to it, 6 for 66, which is a little ominous, and a touchdown. So great day for Kenny Golladay. 12 targets. So obviously benefiting from Marvatron being gone and Danny Amendola being a complete non-factor in this one. Only 3 targets, 2 for 21. So obviously David saw something in Denver's defense, and that Kenny Golladay was a good guy to target, and he was right. Didn't help win the game. Kerryon Johnson came back 10 for 42. Like I said, John, I thought they were going to ease him in, and they did, but 4.2 yards per carry is encouraging. Also caught a pass for only a yard. But really the true Kerryon Johnson story, John, will be told next year. I think really, truly going to see his breakout if he's healthy.
He's the third year, too. But he's
it's not really.
I know.
Running backs normally break out right away, and he kind of did that, but this year is a lost season to injury.
We were just talking about Juju. Screwed you. But you know what I do see here is Golladay with a bum quarterback. He's showing that he can still play this game really well. So
yeah, and
imagine next year if Stafford doesn't retire.
I don't think he will.
I hope not. But if Stafford's back, I think Galladay's gonna have a career year next year.
Drew Lock turned back into a pumpkin, 192 yards and a touchdown. No interceptions, though. What's up with the Andrew Beck stat? 1 for 1 there. What's up with that?
Must have been like
some trick play something. So nothing to see there. Phillip Lindsay, I called it, bro. 19 for 109 and a touchdown.
But he's a PPR back.
It wasn't a PPR back today. Only 2 catches for 9 yards. But still, dude, 19 for 109 and a touch is great. That's what I called. And he had one vultured from him by Royce Freeman, who had 9 carries for 28 yards and a touchdown of his own.
Deshaun Hamilton.
Deshaun Hamilton has arrived. I thought Deshaun Hamilton was the more well-rounded receiver of the two, him and Cortland Sutton. But he just hasn't really clicked yet. But this is encouraging, seeing 6 for 65 and a touchdown. And Cortland Sutton had 5 for 41. So not a great game for him, but Deshaun got more than we would typically expect from him in this one. Any other takeaways from that game, John?
Nope.
Woo! How many we got left?
I think
We gotta hit the lightning round.
Cardinals Seahawks.
Cardinals Seahawks. We
3
got
games left. It looks
we
like.
got Cardinals Seahawks. We got Raiders, Chargers.
Oh, I missed that one.
We got
yes.
Cowboys Eagles. We got Chiefs Bears.
4.
What do you want to do first?
Let's do Raiders Chargers.
Raiders Chargers. Okay, let's hit that one up. So this was an interesting game, and just in terms of Phillip Rivers, man. I mean, he didn't do bad on the yardage front, nor did he throw any picks, but just 279 yards, no touchdowns. This team has seemingly struggled to score more games than not, especially Phillip Rivers. Just a really bad year for him. I'm used to seeing meltdown games from him, but I feel like more of his games have been meltdowns than they have been successful, and I just think the decline has arrived. He will not likely be a Charger next year, John. Is this his last game at home in LA?
I think so.
Yeah. And you had a prediction on his next suitor, didn't you?
Washington Redskins.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I got a funny feeling if Tom Brady moves on, you could see Phil Rivers in
you
New
could see him in New England, too.
Yeah, we could build a show around this in the offseason, though. It'll be fun.
Where's Brady
Not
going?
building much around Melvin Gordon. 9 carries for 15 yards, but he did have 2 touchdowns, which completely saved his day. He also had 6 catches for 32 yards, but 1.7 yards per carry is just hideous. 2 touchdowns saved him, though. Austin Eckler, 4 carries for 11 yards. 5 catches for 58 yards, so he had a decent day there. Keenan Allen, 5 for 71. Mike Williams hurt a lot of people in this one, John. 3 for 51. And Hunter Henry wasn't that great either at 5 for 45. Just, it's Rivers. Rivers has, lowered the tide here for these guys. And I think you're going to see somebody new
and Keenan
behind
Allen.
the center.
How many touchdowns has Keenan Allen on the year?
Not as many as Keenan Allen owners would probably like. I feel like it's 5 or 6.
It's
but
5.
Okay, yeah.
And he actually, surprisingly, 95 receptions, 130 on 139 targets, 1,117 yards and 5 TDs. Almost the same as last year.
These are outlier scenarios. It's just, and he got 10 targets in this game, John, but Keenan Allen, that's not the Keenan Allen that you come to know and love. And I think a big part of it is Phillip Rivers. You know who might be the next Keenan Allen? Hunter Renfrow might be. 7 catches for 106 yards and a touchdown. Like I talked about before with Devontae Parker, once a guy figures it out, he figures it out. And at some point midway through the season, Hunter Renfrow figured it out. And so did Oakland's coaching staff. And this kid's got skills. I drafted him in our Dynasty League because I was so high on him coming out of college. And for a first-year guy to perform the way he has is incredible. Your boy Tyrell Williams showed back up, 4 catches for 82 yards. But
my boy.
Your boy Darren Waller, 4 for 37. Didn't you start him in Dynasty?
I don't have Waller.
Oh, you didn't? Okay. Maybe that was Ernie that started him.
I don't have Waller in any leagues. I don't have Tyrell Williams in any leagues.
Well, he's your boy because you hate him, so I just...
You
always make fun of him, so I always try to
Tyrell
tie
Williams.
guys to you that you make fun of all the time, i.e. Dion Lewis. DeAndre Washington, though, 23 for 85 and a touchdown.
You look good.
So he's the guy to put in there if Jacobs is out, if you're in those Week 17 championships. That's about it. Derek Carr had an okay day, 291 for a touchdown. Is Derek Carr on the Raiders next year, John? What say you?
Yes.
Yeah, think so?
He had a decent year. He actually had a decent year.
I said this team was going to go 500. That was one of my hot takes. And remember at the beginning of the season, nobody thought they were going to win 2 games after Antonio Brown left.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, people I think were picking them to be 0-16.
They could go 500.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're actually doing pretty well.
All right. Jason Garrett and his Cowboys went into Philly and got, pretty much stomped. Let's face it. They didn't score any touchdowns. Dak Prescott really disappointed. 265 yards, 0 touchdowns. Zeke only got 13 carries in a game that was never out of hand, John. They got to fire this guy.
It was 10-6 at halftime. You know what?
They got to fire this guy.
This is a coaching staff issue.
It's awful.
Why are you not giving Zeke the ball? He feasted on these guys last time. I get Philly's good against the run, but he feasted on Philly
They lost by
time.
8 points, so the game was never out of hand. It boggles the mind. It absolutely boggles the mind. Philly didn't even score in the fourth quarter. You know, for Zeke to get 13 carries is ridiculous. You can't even get your motor running on that amount of carries. He got 47 yards out of it. He did catch 7 passes for 37 yards, but one of the worst games of the year for Ezekiel Elliott, and he just didn't see the usage. Michael Gallup did, and he had 11 targets, 5 for 98. So when you get 11 targets and catch 5, that's not great against a really bad secondary. Randall Cobb had 5 for 73. Amari Cooper, non-existent in this one, John. It's just, I remember when Dallas had Wade Phillips as a head coach, and the team was just like, we're not playing for this guy anymore. And I think that's what you're seeing here. I really do. I think that the players have decided they want Garrett gone, and they're not going to play for him.
Yeah, but to jeopardize your playoff spot, all they had to do was win.
But maybe in their minds they know they won't with him. And they're right, by the way.
Yeah,
You know?
I get that. But Michael Gallup, man.
Yeah, Gallup was fine, but again, 11 targets, you only catch 5 of them?
No, but I'm just saying, for this kid's going to be good.
He's a great player.
Next year.
He's a great
love
player.
Love him next
this
year.
year. He was great this year.
No, but I love him next year.
Yeah, as do I. Carson Wentz, 319 and a touch. But the real story here, John, is Miles Sanders, 20 carries for 79 yards. So a decent 4 yards a carry.
Imagine if they gave this kid the opportunity this way at the beginning of the year.
Let me just finish his stat line there, John. You got a touchdown on the ground and 5 catches for 77 yards on top of that. So excellent game here for Miles Sanders. I called this guy. I drafted him in the Dynasty League as well.
You drafted him the keeper and traded him.
I did I? I don't remember. I do so many
To
trades,
Phil.
It's hard to...
To Phil.
Did I? Okay.
Yes.
Well, good for him.
I think you did.
I don't know if I did.
I don't remember.
That's fine.
Too many leagues.
So, yeah. And just to go back to Wentz real quick, he did add 22 yards on the ground as well. But still not a great game, but good enough. Dallas Goedert, dude, 12 targets. Caught 9 of them for 91 yards. So, Michael Gallup, keep an eye on this guy. You'll learn something. He caught 9 of his 12 targets and got 91 yards and a touchdown, and his team won. Other than that, Greg Ward, still auditioning well. 4 catches for 71 yards. And the other big story here is Zach Ertz, 4 for 28, but I think that was largely due to the injury, John.
Yeah, his ribs. He missed most of the first half, so.
Any other takeaways from this game other than the fact that Jason Garrett is absolutely the worst coach of all time, and I hope he gets fired and loses everything of value to him because I hate him.
Okay, we'll move on. So next game is the Arizona Cardinals beat the Seattle Seahawks. This actually changed up the seating.
I just got one thing to say, bro.
I don't even like Drake.
You don't like the Drake?
I hate the Drake.
I love the Drake.
How could you not like the Drake?
Who's the Drake?
Who's the Drake?
The Drake is good.
So the Dolphins hate.
even like Drake.
You're gonna hear it again. The Dolphins hate the Drake, and Arizona loves the Drake. If you're an owner of Kenyon Drake, you love the Drake. If you're not an owner of Kenyon Drake, you hate the Drake. This guy's been on fire, bro.
6 touchdowns in 2 weeks.
It's unbelievable. And he just looks like a new man. And I think, again, like I said, when guys figure it out and get the opportunity, it just happens. And Kenyon Drake is a prime example of that. I'm proud of this guy. 24 carries, John, for 166 yards and 2 touchdowns. And not only that, he can catch the ball, too. He caught 3 of 4 targets for 18 yards. Is he a stud?
No, I wouldn't say stud. The thing here is this team is first year with why can I not think of his name all of a sudden?
The
Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, the pretty guy.
I think this team will just get better next year. Considering the advancement they've made on offense compared to last year, they're only going to get better. I think David Johnson's gone. I really do. Either they're going to cut him or he's going to get traded. I think Johnson's gone. I think Drake will become the new back here. If they don't keep Johnson and Drake is the sole back there, Drake will be a stud.
And I'm not willing to say Johnson's done. I mean,
No,
what are you going to do with 2 carries?
I'm saying I think he's done with this team.
I'm not saying that you're saying that. I'm just making a separate point. You know, the general vibe is that David Johnson's done, and I'm not ready to say that. I mean, he got 1 target, and he got 2 carries. That's like your 3rd string running back. You know what I mean? It's just, I don't understand that at all. And I don't know if he ticked somebody off. I don't know. I don't know if they just like Drake more and they plan to get rid of Johnson and they want to give Drake all the action.
The biggest mystery here is finding who will be the number 1 receiver every year. I mean, not every year, every week. It's changed
Larry
that
Fitzgerald
much.
will just not die. 4 for 48 and a touchdown on 7 targets.
Christian Kirk,
non-existent. Not like 5 targets, dude, and he didn't catch any of them. What is that?
Andy Isabella, not even used.
Right. That I don't get either. So, I mean, the team won, but they're also 5-9-1, so it wasn't really working on the season. I think this offseason is a good opportunity for them to figure out what that receiving core looks like. But like you said, the waters are just way too muddy right now. Over on the Seattle side of the ball, Dr. Jekyll and Russell Wilson, man. Like 169 yards and a touchdown.
They haven't been good though. Last week was a decent week, but other than that, their last 5 games have the consistency from Wilson has been all over the place. The whole team, they just have not been good the last 5 weeks. Yes, they're winning, but they look sloppy.
This goes back to my quarterback conundrum. The guys that were great aren't great anymore. They're declining. The ones that aren't declining are just straight up inconsistent. You know, it's just really frustrating. Even Breeze is inconsistent, and he hasn't really started the decline yet.
Russell Wilson was, if you remember right, the first half of the season was in talks for MVP.
You interrupted me like 17,000 times today.
I'm just going on my Russell Wilson thing. Is that
remember we talked about no interruptions, John?
Yes, I know. But Russell Wilson first. I'm interested to see where the fall off came. So go ahead and keep talking.
Oh, I can talk now.
Yes.
That's that acceptable. Are you sure you're not going to interrupt me? I just want to make a point about Chris Carson. He did what I told you all he would do to you. He would get hurt when it mattered the most, and that's what he did. He got 8 carries for 40 yards before he did that, and 1 catch for 20 yards. But he got hurt. That's what Chris Carson does, and unfortunately he did it at the worst possible time, and he cost you probably your fantasy championship. I know he cost Jake his. And on top of that, Tyler Lockett didn't do you any favors, as we discussed earlier. 1 catch for 12 yards. But Jacob Hollister, however, 5 for 64. He seems like a tight end on the rise here, John. What do you think about him?
Hollister's been a great fill-in. I mean, he's been just consistent. The whole tight end being used in Seattle has been a great thing.
Doesn't seem to matter who.
No, it doesn't. 6 targets, 5 catches for 64 yards. I mean, he's actually been a really good tight end. I mean, he's put up, double digits, I believe, 3 straight weeks now?
Tell me if I'm wrong. Wasn't he in New England?
Yes. And we traded him away. I don't know why.
Boy, I bet they'd be happy to have him right now.
The way he's playing now? Yes.
Yeah, man. So I guess my other question for you, and I will note that Travis Homer had 6 catches for 26 yards, so nothing really to see there, but 8 targets and 6 catches was interesting. But Jacob Hollister, is it Disley's job when he comes back? Is it Hollister's? Are you not touching either of them? That's an interesting thing to think about.
In the offseason, yes. I would say Disley, but it's hard because they're both playing well.
Yeah. What's up with your boy DK?
He's young. He's
he only got 1 target in a game that they were fighting to win. I mean, this is 11-4 team, but I mean they're in the hunt for the top seed in their division with San Francisco. And DK 1 target, and I'm not aware that he got hurt at all. It just wasn't his day. I don't get it, but I'm sure there's a reason for it. I'm not a head coach, and I'm not smart enough to know what that is, but very disappointing. If you started DK Metcalf in the fantasy championship, he cost you. Got some fun stats there? Are you good?
Yeah, Russell Wilson, week 9 decline. That was the last time. Must be like a week 9-10 thing. People switched around. But yeah, he played Tampa Bay on November 3rd, had 5 TDs for 378 yards. After that, Russell Wilson just becomes an average Joe. 1 touchdown against San Fran, for 232 yards passing, 200 yards passing against Philly for 1 TD. Next game after that, Minnesota, he looks okay. 240 passing yards, 2 TDs, and an interception. Against the Rams, 245 passing yards, 0 TDs, and an interception. Did okay against Carolina, 286, 2 TDs, 0 interceptions, and then Arizona, 169, 1 TD. So not the same Russell Wilson, because the first 4 or 5 games, 2 TDs, 3 TDs, 2 TDs, 4 TDs, 2 TDs.
He's just inconsistent.
Yep.
He really is the Robbie Anderson of NFL quarterbacks this year.
So pick up Russell Wilson in the first half, trade him by week 9.
Yes, for sure. I will tell you guys, we're not getting to the lightning round of Week 17 start sits, but I can also tell you this. You know that you can catch us on Facebook at Armchair Fantasy Football, and you can email us at armchairfb@gmail.com. Or you can find John and I on Facebook and Twitter. On Twitter, John's at John2977, and I am at Armchair Kingpin. So if you have any start-sit questions for Week 17, the championship week of doom, as illustrated by the fact that Lamar Jackson will not be playing, then you can ask us on those platforms. So before we finish up, we got one more game, John.
Kansas City Chiefs beat the Chicago Bears 26-3. Interesting inactive in the last in this game. I don't know if you noticed that Akeem Hicks did not play.
Yes, I did notice
he was ruled out at the last minute, so I was like, oh god. Changes the. I think it changed defense for the Bears
a little bit. I mean, it might have given some more room for Damian Williams, who did run for 4.1 yards per clip, 16 for 65. It was an interesting inactive, but there's one guy I don't think it made a difference for.
It's just that I have this power.
Yes, Kavorka.
Kavorka.
It is a Latvian word which means the lure of the animal.
The undeniable. At this point, it is undeniable Kavorka of Pat Mahomes and his Kavorka code. He's just the man, dude. Lamar Jackson, you're having a great year, but Pat Mahomes still sits on the throne as far as I'm concerned, John.
And we don't even know. I think Mahomes, maybe it's me. I'm not saying he's having a bad season. I don't want you to think that at all. But I don't think he's 100% either.
And he's still, he's had what I would consider bad week this year. He's just still awesome, dude. And
he's still going to throw for 4. He missed 4 games? 3 games. 3 games.
Just interrupted me again in case you guys are counting.
No, I'm not trying to.
We should start a drinking game.
I'm asking how many games did he miss so I can give you his stats.
I think he missed 2 to 3. I don't know right off the top of my head.
He's still going to get 4,000 passing yards.
Yeah, he's amazing.
And he's still going to get you probably a hair under 30 touchdowns.
I'm going hard into the paint to get Pat Mahomes back on my keeper team, and I'm using Julio Jones as the bargaining chip because I learned something this year, John. And maybe it's just a one-year outlier, I don't know, but the quarterback position is very, very shallow, and you better have a stud. Because I can tell you one thing, dude. Every single one of our leagues, John, what was the one consistent thing in every single one of our leagues in the championship? There was one player that was in every single championship round.
Lamar Jackson.
You got to have a stud quarterback, especially these days. I don't know what they're doing at these colleges, but they're not getting them ready for the next level. Maybe you'll see a huge bump from Kyler Murray next year. Maybe you'll see a huge jump from Daniel Jones next year. But the theme is the running quarterback. But Pat Mahomes is still on the throne as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, Lamar Jackson had a better year. But let's see if he can do it again next year. Pat Mahomes, 251 yards and 2 touchdowns in this one. And he also got a touchdown on the ground, which you don't always see. But he did what he always does. And so did Travis Kelce, 8 for 74 and a touchdown there. Tyreek Hill, 5 for 72. And Damian Williams also had a touchdown through the air. So Damian Williams had a pretty solid day. But when you talk about Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Mecole Hardman's an electric player, and he might be your worst receiver. I mean, obviously it's like a Demarcus Robinson or a guy like that. But when your 4th best receiver, John, is Mecole Hardman, that's pretty impressive. And then you got a quarterback as good as Pat Mahomes and a tight end as good as Travis Kelce. These guys are going to be fun to watch in the playoffs. And I just love me some Pat Mahomes, dude. I got a man crush on him.
And LaShawn McCoy was inactive for this game.
Yes, yeah. And Williams picked up the slack, but he's still not a lead back. So I think you're definitely going to see Kansas City looking for that. They're going to be shopping for that in the offseason. And who knows? Could be Kareem Hunt. Chicago, Mitchell Trubisky. I would hope for Chicago that the experiment is over. 157 yards. But this is a tougher secondary than people really give him credit for, the Chiefs. But Trubisky just didn't even show up in this one. Neither did David Montgomery. I mean, only 13 carries for 57 yards, so it was only so much he could do there. But Mr. Consistent, we want to talk about consistency, John. Allen Robinson, 6 for 53. He's your guy. You got to be targeting. I can tell you got a man crush on this guy. Are you targeting him next year heavily?
Depending on who's quarterback.
Well, he's got Mitchell Trubisky as his quarterback right now, so you can't get much worse than that. So I'd say he's a safe bet for another consistent season, provided that he's healthy. But Anthony Miller came back down to earth in this one, dude. 1 catch for 2 yards. So Chicago just looked terrible here, and Kansas City just beat them down. I mean, let's face it, Chicago only scored 3 points. This is an ugly offense and a bleak future if Mitch Trubisky's still their quarterback. What do you think?
I think whoever comes in, Allen Robinson makes a great receiver for next year. Like you said, he played with a horrible quarterback this year. We still got 1 game to go, too. Yeah. 89 receptions, 142 targets with Trubisky for most of it.
Definitely.
1,076 receiving yards and 7 TDs.
Yeah. And
that's really good.
So if you look at a guy like Cam Newton, he doesn't support multiple receivers, but he supports his number one. He goes to his number one receiver, the Steve Smiths. He has supported a good year for Devin Funchess. He has supported a good year for Kelvin Benjamin. So I don't know if the rest of the receiving squad would do well with a guy like Cam, but I know Allen Robinson would. He's just a really good receiver. He's an elite talent receiver, and he's been fun to watch this year. What's next, bro?
That's the last game.
Is that it?
That is it.
I thought you said we had one more game.
No, that was the last game. That was the Monday night game.
Monday night game actually is...
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. That was the Sunday night game.
Is Green Bay and Minnesota. And
predictions for that.
We can't tell you what happened there because it hasn't happened yet. Our predictions for that, I would say Green Bay is probably going to win, and Aaron Rodgers is probably going to stink, and Devontae Adams is probably going to give you a decent day. That's all I got.
I think Minnesota loses because, like I said...
Oh, Kirk Cousins in primetime. We've seen that a million times over and over again. You know, it is what it is. But if you guys won your fantasy championships, we congratulate you, and we hope that you've stuck with us the whole way, and we hope that you stick with us in the off season. These are going to be really fun episodes that we don't fully script them, but we do a lot of research for our off season episodes, and it's great to tell you who to start sit every week. But if you listen to our off season episodes, that is going to help you more than anything to get you prepared to win a fantasy championship next year. You guys will not be disappointed. I promise you that. Next week, John, we will be handing out the Armchair Awards for this season for fantasy players. It's going to be really fun, and we'll talk about fantasy MVPs, biggest bust, biggest breakout, all kinds of fun stuff like that. So get ready for that next week, and we probably aren't going to recap Week 17 unless there's something really crazy that occurred. But yeah, off-season episodes start next week, and it's going to be a blast, and all of them will have specific topics assigned to them. For those of you that listen to us prior to the season, you know what they're all about, and they're really, really fun. So, you got anything else, John?
Yeah, just stay tuned for a great offseason, guys. We're going to have, guests this year.
John will not interrupt me as much, even though I just did to him. We'll do a drinking game episode, and we'll both be trashed by the end of it, I'm sure.
I don't even know how long that episode would be, but new things coming forward, guys. Trying to get some other platforms figured out. And then on top of that, like I said, guests coming this year. Stay tuned. It's going to be a good offseason, so a lot to cover. And I think it will be very exciting like it was last year.
Yeah, and we love to have music on our show and mix in some musical stuff, so especially for our holiday shows. And this is our Christmas Eve episode, so we got a really special song for you at the end. I can't play it all for you because it's NSFW, as the kids say. So I'm going to cut it off at a certain point, but I would encourage you to listen to the whole thing because it's really funny, especially at the end. So we'll catch you later, guys.
Let's go to the main mall and fight with the crowd. Let's go to Mark's show place and scream, "Take it off," really loud. Let's freeze our ass off in the sub-zero cold. Let's paw through the clothes at Macy's and make the ladies refold. It's Christmas. Christmas in Maine, folks. So get out your shoe clubs. Buy your quart of wood. Fill your oil tank. Save your money. Let's watch them light the tree in Monument Square. Let's hope your wife shaves her legs this month, or at least uses Nair. Let's hope Dad doesn't lose his last tooth biting into apple pie. Let's meet a nice girl in a gunkwit and hope she's not a guy. It's Christmas. It's Christmas in Maine, folks. Boy, oh boy, can't wait to get that orange in my stocking. Boy, what a thrill that is.
Before our boy Bobby Marley starts cussing, we will encourage you. We are a couple Maine boys, and this song is not completely accurate, I can assure you. But I would encourage you to listen to Christmas in Maine, finish the song. But I can't let Bobby swear all over the place. So until next time, until next week, you will not get another episode from us this week. We will be enjoying the holiday with our lovely families, such as our cameraman Caden back there. You want to say hi to the camera?
Guys.
All right, there's a Merry Christmas from K-Dog over there.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time, guys. We really hope you enjoy your holiday and keep listening to us, because you're going to win another championship with us to go on top of the one that you hopefully won this year. Right, John?
Yes.
All right.
Except for me.
Merry Christmas.
See you guys.
Thank you for listening to the Armchair Fantasy Football Podcast. Thanks for supporting the show. Until next time.